Good afternoon, and Captain's Log Supplemental. This one is about phaser props. In front of me now are pretty much all the phaser kits I have. I have two finished crickets up here too, and a couple of the holster options I've had made. Two of them are 3D print ones you saw in the previous file. One was one I bought off eBay, and then this one I had custom made for myself, real quick, dirty, easy, based on honestly, one that was made out of aluminum foil that I bought 15 years ago and felt ripped off about. But it made a good base model for this resin one. A couple minutes have passed since the first video. I had lunch with my kids, real quick. But let's jump right into it. This is my original Boomerang phaser that I bought probably back in 2000, 2001. I do not know what the master was. It might have been the master replica's Boomerang phaser that they were issuing right about that time. It has not been retouched or repainted since then and is obviously showing signs of paint chip, wear, tear, and it's going to be put into, that's why it's in the to-do pile. It's going to be repainted, restored. I have the phaser meter backwards. The red should be on top because the red is what's not power set, not what is. I got that wrong, but I will redo it. Honestly, this is the only phaser I've ever painted myself that is not on full power. And I got it wrong, so go figure. This is the one that I've been getting from arsenalmodels.com. Arsenal Models goes by the name Cool Models on eBay. Their quality is give or take depending on the subject matter. Most of the stuff I've gotten from them, I've been lucky, has been usable quality. I've known a few pieces that I've stayed away from. They have a bad reputation in the prop community as recasters. Yes, I've used them as an affordable source for props, but that's a personal choice. You can agree with it or disagree with it. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Differences between the two of these. This is slightly smaller. The fire button here, which is silver here and red here, is recessed like the master for this was one that had working buttons and the fire button was missing. Uh, it doesn't matter much when it's sitting in your hand or on the belt clip. I would like to get a piece of plastic to cut up and put on top of them, but I don't have any of that stuff. This has raised buttons, but they're all solid. Overall, I just gotta say I like my original better, but these are very serviceable, very good. Last option in the Boomerang version is one that I've just gotten the kits for, offered by someone I found on Facebook in one of the Star Trek prop groups lately. This one doesn't have any buttons. The fire button is recessed, but it came up with laser cut pieces that I can put in place of these. Right now they're still wrapped up so I don't lose any of them. Overall, again, it's a little thinner than this, but overall the size is about the same. I find the difference noticeable when you go back to my original one in this. But again, the size difference is not one that most people would ever notice. One of my holdups in props of any sort is scale. I like it to be the right scale. That's why I do not like the Playmates Boomerang phaser. Playmates Boomerang phaser is about a third too big. It is very big compared to this. Used to have two of them. I got rid of both of them. I can get one back. It was loaned out to the guy who made this holster for me in order to make one for a Boomerang, make a holster for a Playmates. He was using it as a guide. As you can see, this holster fits most of the kits I have very well. I have to glue that down a little better. Fits the new kit very well. This is the rubies, not the rubies, the Arsenal Models one. This is where I sanded the inside out too. I have to go back and sand a little bit more for my version. I added a old cell phone case rotating clip, so this could go for a left-hander, a right-hander, or something in between. I should have mounted this further up because now I think I need a second attachment point because it droops because it's so back heavy. But overall, for a first attempt, it was very good. Problems with this is it looks absolutely nothing like the screen used one because it had wings. This is just a piece of aluminum or something dug into a resin receptacle with another piece of aluminum bent to be the stabilizer in the back. The next holster I picked up off of eBay, just being curious of the size. This was being auctioned off by itself. I said, let me see the size of it. Let me see how workable it is with the actual size uh, props. It ended up being way too small. It won't even accept a boomerang. It will accept, to a certain point, a Dolphin phaser, but the back is too narrow. You know, there's the two fins that stabilize it. One broke off on this. I just dropped it. I'll pick it up after I'm done with the video. There's no reason to pick it up now. But it wouldn't fit there. The advantage of this over 3D printing is this was 3D printed and then sealed or coated in something. It feels like a very thick plastic, very durable. Again, it did break, but I was trying to force a Dolphin phaser into the handle. I have plans to modify this into a workable holster for either the Boomerang or for the Dolphin. Yeah, I did. Never mind. I'm gonna have to pick up video editing equipment so I can take stuff like that out. But for now, sorry. When you compare this to the get better contrast using the black one to the one I had 3D printed, it's the exact same print file. This may be a little bigger depending on the printer settings, but overall it is the exact same file, it's the exact same holster. So whatever modifications I do to this, I will be doing to this as well. One of these, probably the clear one, will stay unmodified. Why? Because in my 3D printing experiments, I printed the holster it was the phaser it was designed for. This is a fan designed phaser. If you look at this, it's very reminiscent of the Cobra phaser, but it comes with the curved handle of the Boomerang. If you compare it to a Boomerang, there's noticeable differences. It looks more like someone was doing this from memory when they did the design. Either that or they were trying to avoid a cease and desist from Paramount. Either way, it's workable, it's fine. I wanted one for my collection just because it's unique, and I don't mind the look of it. I like it. It's usable. I think there's a crack developing in it, but I can fix that, no problem. Just noticed that, but it's been banged around a little lately. Don't worry about that. I'll fix that. Again, editing tools sometime. The thing is, when you take the holster, fits right in, fits snug. That's the front part. It doesn't even need the stabilizer if you put the stabilizer in. It's a very snug fit on the handle, so it won't move. If the two pieces were glued together correctly, it would hold in the right place. Holster file on both versions have belt loops, so you can put a little thin belt through it, and it'll hold it right in place on your uniform or what have you. Phaser comes out easily, goes back easily. You're getting a little of the ridge work because of the fact that they're unsanded, and you get the printing surface. The raw prints, with the exception of the back part, fits a Dolphin phaser very well. So if you're a Dolphin phaser fan, I don't know anyone who's a football Dolphin fan. Joke. These are usable right off with the printer or off of eBay, with the exception of the back. You could probably snap these off, But I have what I think is a fix to that I'm going to actually work on it. This one will stay unmodified. That'll be the holster for that phaser. Uh, Honestly, when you take into consideration the cost of printing these, having it shipped to you, and then modifying it and clear coating it and sealing it, this becomes the better deal. I think these were $25 on eBay. This was about $25 shipped, but now I have to do much more work on this, than I would this. So in the future, all the holsters I modify will be the finished glossy ones that I get from the seller on eBay. I don't think it's worth the effort to print these up because the feel of this is a much thicker, sturdier plastic. Yes, it still moves. You can still squeeze a little. But compared to these, which are raw, just basic print finish, this is the advantage. What I'm going to plan to do is, in the case of a boomerang, I'm going to go from here and slice down all the way to the end, even the belt loop. I'm then going to spread the back. I'm going to use a heat gun so I'm not forcing plastic. And I'm going to spread it. And then when I get it to the proper length, spread to fit the handle nicely, and of course the one I'm using is the one with no piece on the back, I'm then going to use plumber's putty and fill in the gap. When I have the base set and sanded down and smooth, I'm then going to use the plumber's putty to seal the belt loop. Once I have the belt loop done and this done, the Dolphin phaser itself will fit in and out very well. Be very usable holster, very ready to use. You'll have the belt loops. You can take the belt loops off, use a cell phone case holder like this. You can use those old cover chip clips that the prequel Jedi use. The belt attachment and a little round notch thing sticks on, and rotatable up and down with clicks. Some cell phone cases use those too. I've had a couple of those over the years, and they'll be ready to go. In the case of the boomerang phaser, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue that cut all the way down to encompass the whole phaser. I don't know if I'm going to leave a little bit here and use a heat gun to spread the whole thing. I don't know if I'm going to cut it completely off and then do an entire splint shim in there. But I'm going to increase the width enough to accommodate the phaser. What I do know is when it comes to the height of the phaser, I am going to leave the edge here, and I'm going to, just spread it out till it's to the right height, and fill in the edges, sand them smooth, repaint them, and then they should be done. These phasers, holsters will work very well. I haven't tried them, but I can probably modify this to be used with the Cobra phasers, the next generation ones. Cut it here. Definitely change the belt, take off the belt hook, readjust the cup to fit the Cobra phaser. If it's there, Cobra phasers are seen vertical to slight cant forward. It was never across like the Boomerangs and the Dolphins were. What I intend to do is, if I do make the cup too big, line it with foam so when the prop goes in, the foam holds it secure. Another thought is to thin earth magnets here, and then an earth magnet rod through here, so the magnets will hold this steady, so even if it shakes in there, it should be good there. Another option is a magnet here and a magnet here. The options are numerous. You just have to decide what's better for you, where you want to hold, where the hold is needed on the holsters. When it comes to the 3D printed, this was done not through the printing service, but by a friend of mine. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to fix this up nicely. Uh, if if you're interested, there's the person on eBay who sells this does sell these in resin instead of 3D printed. This is awfully light because it's a shell, the inside's empty. What I'm probably going to do is when I drill, I'm going to mark the inside here, put a pin So when I put the two pieces together, it doesn't move up and down. The pin will hold it in place. When I do that, I might get insulation foam and spray foam on the inside to make this solid. It'll still be light, but at least it'll be solid at that point. Spray the foam in, put the plug in, glue the plug together to hold the two pieces together. Once it's all together, I sand it down, fill the seam, then start painting. Also have a couple of cricket phasers here. This, I believe, is a resin cast of the Stapleton hollow kit. It's very small. It's the smallest of all the phasers I have. I have two of these. This one and one I had gotten 15, 16, 17 years ago. This one was given to me by somebody for free because I was buying a whole bunch of other stuff and he was sending samples. It's a little bigger. Now again, this is plumber's putty on the end because it was a very sharp end there. It was about the same height with the sharp end, but it was a flat, sharp end, so I put plumber's putty to make it a more gradual end, similar to there. Actually, I think here you might be able to see where the plumber's putty is because I didn't worry too much about lining up the lines or everything. But from that point forward is plumber's putty shaped in place. This is a one of a kind in my collection. It's probably the one I'm going to keep and hold. This one I have to touch up a little notch there. And I'm going to change this brass coloring to be red, which is what I usually do on the phasers. And then this will be offered to the crew. I think I know who's going to get this one. But I do have two of these. These phasers I got from someone else I met in the Star Trek prop community on Facebook. But they're also the same kits you get from Arsenal Models. I have, I think, two of these already in my finished prop collection available. I have two more now just because you can't go wrong with a whole bunch of phasers in a collection. I have a box that I'm going to foam line and cut out and have all the phasers in there and be able to take it to conventions to loan out or to photo shoots. This way, if we're doing a photo shoot and you all want to be armed in one way or another, there'll be options for people. These come in two halves. As you can see, the gray is the plumber's putty that I used to bond the two. I now have to go in and clean up the seams, fill in some holes. This one had a big chunk in the middle, so I used plumber's putty across it to smooth it out. I'll go in there with a small Dremel head to smooth it out. I have to finish up the back. These do have severe back cutoffs. They're there. I do not think I'm going to round it much because it's already a larger size than I think the screen used crickets were. So I'm going to leave them the way they are size-wise and just finish them up and try and make them look pretty, or as pretty as I can. Right now I have two of these black resin Boomerang kits. I have two black resin Dolphin kits, although one of the Dolphin kits I bought for someone specifically. And then I have this Arsenal Models one, needs a little touch up and clean up, and then I have this one set aside for someone as well. Talked to him at Big Apple Con. He was interested in a Dolphin, in the Boomerang, I'm sorry. Or was it one of the New York's away team events? Important thing is someone had wanted a Boomerang. I had a Boomerang. I just have to clean it up. I was saving it off to the side for this video. This way I can show you the sizes of the three, you know, in that order. This one here, I actually didn't have this for a while because I sent this to someone to be resin cast, the same person who I mentioned in the previous video about my hypo spray. Ran into a little money trouble, couldn't get into the prop work right now, which I completely understand. So I had some of the stuff sent back. This one is out of production. You know, I don't think it's been available since 2002. The master, I believe, was already something available in props, which is also discontinued. So if we knew someone who was able to produce resin casts of this, I'd be willing to send this out to be dropped into rubber to make a mold for. These kits do come as two pieces. This black emitter end is one piece, and then it's the entire piece. It's the same for this, which I've already glued these on. Same for this. But I think it should be able to be cast as one piece, no problem. Just pop it out of the rubber. Hardest part would probably be the hollow emitter end, but it's workable. These are the emitter ends for the Dolphin. Hollow in there. I haven't cleaned up the sprue from that's the fill hole in the thing, but it'll go like that. I am very impressed with these 3D printed holsters. Yes, I do have to do work modifying them, but overall, the fact that they're already in the right shape and all I have to do is put in some splints to or shims to spread them out a little. It's basic prop work. It's not trying to take a sheet of plastic. These are scraps a friend sent to me from his vacuum former, and trying to mold it into this. I do have this because I'm going to try and make basic tricorder holsters out of this. The dimples will, from the back table will have to be dealt with, but other than that, I should be able to do that easy. That's why I have these sheets. I was going to try and make holsters, but then I found both the options there. This, although it's a good working prototype and my only actual usable holster right now, is probably going to be retired just because it's oddly shaped. I screwed up with the clip attachment. Could probably peel it off, but I don't know if it's worth the trouble when I have something more accurately shaped. I'm very proud of this. I'm very happy for this. But going forward, I think I have, as long as the person on Etsy and eBay keeps selling these, this is the finished one. I think this is the option we would go with, where everyone who wants a holster. I know a couple of people have asked me about them. This is the state of where we are in holsters. We have 3 examples right now of the same holster. The material it's made out of doesn't matter. This was just ABS to try ABS for the first time. This PLA. I don't even know what the guy used for this, but I know he said he misted a sealant over it, so it might just be crazy glue over it that did it. I don't know what he uses. I don't know how he uses it, but I think this is just the easier version to go with. You can definitely see the print lines. Remember I told you about the lines. So whatever you misted over this didn't cover it, but when you paint it, because it's smooth, you should be able to cover the print lines. Actually, there's some wood grain in there too, so it might have had a wood buck in there at one time. Don't know, don't care. Just going to use the product and provide the ship with holsters and options that are usable. Lawrence, I know that you have one of each. I will have a holster for one of each for you available once I get these prototypes done and finished. I will have a holster for my phaser, and then as requested, I will order new pieces and put them together. I will have the process down. So honestly, after these first three are done, everything should start getting better and more desirable. Thank you very much. I hope this is helpful. I hope this is informative. Don't be afraid of giving verbal feedback instead of just liking the video, although I do like that. And thank you, everyone. Captain out.